As a die-hard Marvel enthusiast with a penchant for witty dialogue and memorable lines, and must say that these scenes truly resonate with me. Each of them showcases not only the brilliance of the writers, but also the depth of the characters they've crafted over the years. Marvel films often don't receive the full recognition they deserve during their initial release, with some truly impactful dialogue sometimes going unnoticed. While it's true that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and similar productions have been subject to criticism, there are indeed some exceptional dialogue moments hidden in movies that might be otherwise considered ordinary. In many instances, the most underrated Marvel films boast standout lines that deserve recognition, despite their overall flaws. While it's true that many criticisms levels at Marvel movies are often valid, such as their tendency towards formulaic storylines or inadequate adaptation of classic comic book tales, however, it's important to acknowledge that Marvel deserves praise for consistently delivering memorable dialogue throughout their films, with some of the most quotable lines in the MCU coming from their famous lesser-known productions. It's fair to say that while Marvel movies have their share of issues, the quality of the script is seldom one of them. I was very small in foreign featured by the film number. For now, the 2005 version of Fantastic Four stands out as the finest live-action portrayal of the superhero team, even though upcoming films like Fantastic alter things in the future. The film does have some flaws, especially in how it handles Doctor Doom, but its earlier pre-MCU take on the Fantastic Four is working more recognition for what it got right. Specifically, the dynamic between Johnny Storm and Benjamin Grimm is one of the most enjoyable elements of the movie. Although they often display a hostile dynamic, instances such as Johnny trying to console Ben as he adapts to his monstrous shape underscore their genuine affection for one another, which is a stark contrast to the 2015 version of Fantastic Four, where Johnny expresses open hostility towards what he refers to as the thing that no one wanted. Interestingly, the 2005 adaptation of Fantastic Four demonstrated a more sincere approach in its dialogue, which is because the greatest adaptation. Returning to the original Thor movie after watching him develop into a comical, endearing character across the Marvel Cinematic Universe might give you a sudden change of mood or pacing. Although this film isn't always highlighted as one of the favorites from the initial phase of the MCU, it should be acknowledged for introducing the magical aspects that she would become essential to the series through her engaging fantasy storyline. While Thor may not have been as humorous in his first movie as he was in later films, there are still some amusing scenes scattered throughout the film. In a nutshell, nothing beats the scene where freshly exiled Thor encounters his novel earthly companions at a coffee shop. Tasting this stimulating brew for the very first time, he expresses his fondness by exclaiming, "I enjoy this potion. More, please," only to accidentally smash his mug in pure elation. The delightful mix of Thor's culture clashes and Asgardians' ways gone awry on Earth provided a delightful touch of humor that beautifully balanced the generally serious narrative of the first Thor. As a die-hard fan, I can't help it but chuckle at this scene every time I watch it. I see how, and without a doubt, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is widely considered one of the poorest major Spider-Man films ever produced. Several aspects of the movie fall flat, such as its overcrowded collection of villains and forced setup for future installments. Consequently, it's easy to see why this film has garnered a negative reputation. However, there are certain parts that warrant viewing, particularly those involving Gwen Stacy's heartbreaking end. And in the movie, Stacy delivers profound lines that resonate deeply, such as her inspiring graduation speech, where she says, "We must rise above our hardships." These words striking chord in Peter, especially during a scene where he mourns at Gwen Stacy's grave. Despite some missteps in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it effectively captured the essence of the Spider-Man character through a few well-chosen phrases. The Marvels, despite its impressive storyline and creative concept, has unfortunately become the biggest financial disappointment in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is ironic, given that there have been several Marvel films less well-made than at which it performed better financially at the box office. Essentially, the film has not received the recognition it deserves, due to its relatively low viewership, even though it offers a wealth of entertainment. Interestingly, the film's most memorable line might be found in its thrilling post-credits scene. In this scenario, Monica Rambeau encounters Kelsey Grammer's Beast in another dimension. Recognizing her bewilderment, Beast reassures her by saying, "It's okay to be confused. That's how you learn." Words of wisdom from the brilliant mind of Hank McCoy. It was a delight to see Grammer reprise his role after such a long time, and I hope it will signal more appearances of the Beast in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's X-Men saga so far. 2013's standalone Wolverine film, The Wolverine, occupies a unique position within the X-Men movie series, being the second solo outing for Hugh Jackman's iconic character. The story set in Japan offers intriguing scenes, notably the complex bond between Logan and his old acquaintance, the former Imperial Japanese soldier Yoshida. Intrigued by Wolverine's regenerative abilities witnessed during World War II, a dying Yoshida reaches out to him, proposing that he might extend Yoshida's life by taking on his immortality. Yoshida proposes that Wolverine might be weary of his eternal life, witnessing the demise of his loved ones and observing the world evolve while he remains constant. This idea is deeply considerate and persuasive, but Logan declines the offer for an even more intriguing reason. He chooses not to pass on his immortality to Yoshida, was again one of everyone's self-interest, but because he wouldn't want anyone else to endure his destiny. It could be contended that Black Widow's standalone movie arrived in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at an inopportune moment, as it was a prequel story that followed her death within the series. Some might argue that the movie received undeserved criticism after the climactic conclusion of the Infinity Saga, but its family-centric espionage narrative should be appreciated for the providing insights into Black Widow's past, despite some underwhelming villains and hastily rendered CGI. The film's character development made it a worthwhile viewing experience. Scarlett Johansson delivers another stellar performance in this movie, striving to infuse compassion into the ruthless tool created by the Black Widow program. And throughout the film, Natasha Romanoff grapples and finally goes onto a small movement to find self with her programming, typically evading her issues rather than facing them head-on. Yet, the scene where she decides to confront the very forces that molded has a same fate for countless other young girls is a powerful moment, accentuated by her poignant dialogue. And the third installment of the Spider-Man series by Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 3, is notoriously known for its controversial ending to the once highly acclaimed Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. To this day, it remains a film with a divided opinion, containing parts that are genuinely poor and others that are ironically entertaining due to their numerous over-the-top and meme-worthy scenes. However, it's important to note that Sam Raimi managed to incorporate sincere dialogue in his final contribution to the trilogy, effectively tying together the series' themes with thoughtfulness. Tobey Maguire's narration lends an authentic comic book vibe to the entire trilogy, a quality that other superhero films have struggled to achieve. He ponders the decisions each character must make in their battles, and the struggle against succumbing to darkness in any of its manifestations. In a poignant speech, Peter concludes with, "My friend Harry taught me that," expressing a bittersweet gratitude for his lost companion, despite their shared hardships. Although Ant-Man and Wasp films are typically standout Marvel Cinematic Universe productions, The first one should be acknowledged for delivering an enjoyable mix of action, comedy, and heist elements. Despite Edgar Wright not seeing the project through to completion, remnants of his vision are evident in Scott Lang's debut movie. While the script is famous for its humor, particularly Michael Peña's Louise delivered jokes. The most striking moment could be Ant-Man's climactic declaration. And personally, following an aerial clash against Darren Cross's Yellow Jacket, Ant-Man appears to be in a difficult situation, with his foe deriding a strategy to save the day as a mere heist. However, Scott swiftly retorts it wasn't just a heist, before unveiling that he had secretly placed explosives throughout Cross's lab. This sabotage effectively thwarts Cross's attempts to mass-produce the illicit pin particle technology on a global scale. Although Ant-Man is often depicted as a humorous character, his dramatic line here serves as a triumphant moment for Scott Lang. And is it placing Avengers Age of Ultron as the least impressive mainline Avengers film isn't hard to do. The movie has its flaws, such as a poorly developed villain, an awkward romance between the Hulk and Black Widow, and dialogue that's less polished than the original. However, it does introduce two fantastic new characters, Scarlet Witch and Vision, with Vision in particular delivering some thought-provoking lines. It could be rephrased as follows. During his final showdown with his brother Ultron, Vision expresses that their debate revolves around the idea of humanity's inevitable self-destruction. Despite acknowledging this possibility, he counters by stating that something isn't beautiful because it endures, which subtly hints at his later contemplations on death and sorrow in WandaVision and his own demise in Avengers Infinity War. And I feel like, compared to other Marvel films, it's fair to say that Iron Man 3 might not get the recognition it deserves. This movie offers an exceptional exploration of Tony Stark character delving deep into his PTSD after the incidents in the Avengers. It stands tall as one of the most powerful solo superhero films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is well worth more praise. With its signature witty dialogue, typical of any Iron Man film starring Robert Downey Jr., it even includes a memorable boast from Iron Man towards the end. In the movie Iron Man 3, Iron Man appears more vulnerable than previously, using makeshift weapons due to the absence of his high-tech suits. However, Stark underscores his enemies fought for the line that he isn't just Iron Man because of his technology. Even when unarmed, he can overcome seemingly impossible odds. The film Iron Man 3 is often overlooked among Marvel movies, but lines like this one, they could shine.